focus. All right, so the New York Times says that the far right is using kitten videos to attract people, and they named the site was like the Epic Times, which is some kind of religious Christian site or something. I briefly looked through it. It's like, these aren't the far right, you idiots. That's the state of the New York Times. And I look at New York Times and CNN, MSNBC, and like, are you guys going to be around in 5 years? Because without Trump, I think you guys have lost the plot. Oh my God, Trump hasn't gone away. Yes, he really is out of office. He's not coming back. You don't have to keep bringing him up every 5 minutes. Trump's arrangement syndrome, that's a real thing. They have it. It's like they're rent-free in their head. But Trump, that's every Twitter reply is something to do with, the guy's been out of office a year. It's okay to move on. So yeah, far-right cat memes. Click the links for Odysee, Bit Chute, where I put more base content that is just not allowed on YouTube, because if the censorship on YouTube is off the hook these days, and eventually we're all going to be on Odysee. All right, it seems like the news lately has been nothing but the left wing holding a bunch of L's, like so many that they can't even ignore them like they try to do. It's just, it's like this left wing narrative is falling apart. It's like, yeah, it's going to continue to fall apart all the way to Civil War. Anyway, so the demand for hate crimes seems to exceed the supply, and you would think the left-wing media would celebrate that, but no, they don't, because they're vile snakes. Most hate crimes happen in Chicago, Philadelphia, Memphis, Oakland, LA, San Francisco, except they don't call them hate crimes. In fact, they absolutely ignore them, because in Clown World, we're run by jokers. Isn't every crime that involves a battery against the person, a crime against a person, a battery, aren't all hate crimes? Aren't all crimes hate crimes? Oh no, we need to separate this crime and distinguish it. Well, I'm assuming you're not doing it for a good reason. You can assume anything the government and the media is doing right now, and for the past, few decades, is not for a good reason. So if they have this hate crime enhancement, you look at them like, this is going to have something to do with F. Whitey, isn't it? You look at the examples of how they carry it out in the real world, and you're like, oh, yeah, I guess it is. So let's just say that the goal of the media is to foment discord against the different tribes of people and keep the cattle completely distracted while they burn the Constitution. CNN is 24/7 fear-prone. Brian Seltzer spends 4 years lying about Trump. I mean, they don't even appear to be fair and impartial. That was like 20 years ago, to try to at least have the appearance of not being all left-wingers. You CNN now, I mean, everyone in the mainstream media, they all look around like, wait, we're all on the left wing. It's like, we can't possibly have a fair, impartial approach to journalism if we're all on the left wing. What are you, a racist? That's how low the bar has gone? Yeah, that's how low the bar has gone. So Brian Seltzer's wondering, how can we get people to trust the media? Or in the Mark Dice version of Brian Seltzer's voice, get people to trust the media again. Why would we? And I have to be careful saying this on YouTube, because you can get a strike for implying that the media and the government lie to us in everything they do. Is just, I mean, if bad people perform acts, statistically, they're likely to perform more bad acts than good acts. So as the boomers age out of the mainstream Soylent Green media, it's a cookbook. More people will get their news from the alt media. The mainstream media has always lied, but now with social media and very, very inexpensive cell phones, we are our own media, and we're also able to catch them in lies. I trust some random online site much more than CNN, which I guess isn't saying much. Somebody with $100 cell phone can film CNN manipulating a scene and put it online. CNN runs their story. It's like some manipulated scene where they get to a scene and they tell people to stand in certain directions. They get the lighting set up, and they direct them to perform acts that they were not performing. You go, oh, so is CNN going to say that, hey, this is a recreated scene, it's a manipulated scene. We arrived too late to catch the scene in the act, so we're trying to manipulate the scene to get you the crux of the argument, the nucleus of what actually happened. Oh, no, they're not going to say that. Because this isn't Narnia. This is the real world. CNN is run by these very bad people. Not mammals. type of people. So no, they manipulate scenes, and then you got somebody with a Samsung S3 sitting back and filming the whole thing, and you're like, oh, yeah, here I just caught you on 720 manipulating a scene. It's like, oh, well, let's dox this guy and destroy his life because he caught CNN in a lie. You never remember that scene where Hillary Clinton passed out at the 9/11 memorial in 2016? And I go, oh, well, it's New York or Washington, wherever the hell it was. It's probably New York. It was humid, and people were dropping like flies that day. It was hot and humid. You go, so no one else passed out. How come it's just Hillary? Do you want to guys maybe look into that? What are you, a Nazi? I'm just saying Hillary Clinton. It's like she might have had some health issues in 2016. So it seems a little bit weird that the mainstream media chose to ignore that. Like, you got two equally obese people, Trump and Hillary. They're both, I don't know, 20% over obese. It's like, you just focus on Trump. Seems kind of weird. Hillary had a persistent cough for like a year, and you completely ignored that. They threw her in the back of that adrenochrome wagon. I'm sure there were like little blonde kids in the back just with IVs feeding her whatever lizard stuff she needs. So the media ignores the daily deletions in Chicago because they're the wrong color for the narrative. But then Nick Sandmann was front page news for like a month with death threats against him from Kathy Lee and all the other blue check mark idiots on Twitter. I am so glad that Twitter is going up its own ass. Is Twitter going to be around a few years from now? I don't know. I mean, the mainstream media and the government is on Twitter, so it's like you can't really escape that. But to the point it gets so bad, it's like eventually people are going to go to Gab. Doesn't that make anyone curious about who controls the media? Why they seem to have such an agenda against the nicest people on earth, the people of Starbucks and Uggs and Volkswagens? Doesn't anyone want an investigation into this media machine? In the past 5 years, the media has taken off the mask and removed the illusion of being impartial. When the Jusse Smollet case broke, nobody, and I mean nobody, believed it. Even the chick who gave the interview with him. If you could have read her thought bubble, it had a lot of really ninjas and ninja please, and I can't believe I have to give this interview with this line SOB. That was her thought bubble. She didn't believe it, and Jusse looked at her facial expression, and eventually he caught on that she's not buying it, and then he started to catch on that I'm in a live interview, and she's not buying it, the audience isn't buying it, and he started to get a little defensive, and you see a little bit of sweat start to roll down, like he knew he was digging himself in there, but he also thought the probably Soros-appointed district attorney would let him fly on it. And I don't remember the following that case, if the feds took it over, and for some reason someone decided to re-prosecute that case, which is kind of weird when they because usually this kind of stuff just gets covered up. But the media heard about this hoax, which is obviously a hoax, and they played it straight. Or at least, like, okay, if it's, 90% of the times these are hoaxes, then every time the media catches a story, you got to be honest and go, hey, listen, this kind of thing has a big tendency to be a hoax, so we're going to be very careful in reporting this, or maybe we're going to let facts develop, let the police do their investigation first before we start saying, like, oh, this is MAGA country, and two white guys in a pickup truck. It was probably a 4x4, and they had like a gun rack. So it's like in the snow in Chicago or something. It's 30 degrees out, and you went out for a Subway sandwich. I mean, you're not super wealthy, but you could probably order the sandwich for $10 and then pay the $20 delivery fee, and you wouldn't even think twice about it. It's like, you're not going to go out in 30 degrees. Oh yeah, I drove around the block several times, but you say you go there all the time. I was looking for parking, but like there's parking right up front. It's like none of your story doesn't immediately falls apart. Oh, so why'd you meet up with your trainers? What are you a Nazi to disbelieve? Yeah, forgive us for wanting like facts and evidence and a little due process, because we're not children. Like, we look at these hoaxes and you're like, oh, like 90% of these things are hoaxes. So I'm saying, like, shouldn't the media come outright up front at the start and say, let's be very cautious in covering. The media knows most hate crimes are fake. Every crooked cross in 1469 written on a synagogue or black guy's truck is written by the owners. These those aren't exactly hoaxes. Those are crimes that are made to foster hate against people of European descent. And the media pours oxygen on it because the media also hates European people. Remember that Newt Gingrich interview? He mentioned he who must not be named, Soros. And the two girls, these two bubble-headed idiots. The 19th Amendment was a complete mistake. Shouldn't that have been the bigger story? The issue of how Fox reacted to Newt Gingrich naming the devil? The media is the enemy of the people. Yes, even Fox. They're all moving in the same direction, but they're marching at a different cadence. Was this too base for YouTube? I don't know. Anyway, like, comment. I suspect my time is short. But I've said that before and I'm still here. But, anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next episode.